right? And I think that that's what's happening, and I think that that's what's fueling the exponential engine of Miami's growth. The idea that people are seeing that that's what really matters.
I'm going to plug into this what we're working on at the Beacon Council. We have a subcommittee on the tech committee working on 2 projects. One of them is Amplify Miami Tech, and it's a 3-month sprint. And the goal of it is what's not trending within other municipalities that you don't know is happening. And it's because of that, trying to create a unified message, right? Because you've got all these other municipalities. Miami has so many resources right now. You've got Venture Miami. You have Raymundo also is doing exciting things in Coral Gables. There's a lot of companies like in AI that are also there as well. Then you've got Doral, which is also doing an incredible amount of things and gaining a lot of interest from a lot of Latin American companies. Yeah. So we're trying to expand the reach a little bit, which brings me to the website. When you look at every city's website, it's a little overwhelming, but they all like have resources, but maybe you don't know how to find those resources. And then the messaging seems a little different from each one. And the story maybe isn't really there, but it's there because there's so much work that's been input into these websites, all the resources that they offer, magazines, you know how it works. So what we're trying to do is saying, okay, let's sit with you. We've interviewed, plenty of people and sat down with the offices and said, tell us what's, what do you've got that we should know about? What incentives do you offer, if you offer any incentives? What major initiatives are you working on? And now let's have a discussion on what your story is from a perspective on technology, very specifically on technology, reaching out to who you're trying to attract to your city. Why here? Because you do have Kendall, you do have Homestead. So then we're creating like a deck that we can then share with them to then share with the public that can also be, shared across multiple municipalities. And then they could say, oh, we have a format when we don't have maybe all of the resources. They don't all have a CIO in place, which is...
But you have standards.
But you have standards, right? So we started to notice that, like, oh, Doral doesn't have a CIO in place, but they've got the development, officer, which is really doing everything. And then you're like, wow, we can help you as a community because we want to spread it. We want to make sure that you understand there is not just living in downtown Miami. You live in Kendall. Like, I have family that lives in Hialeah. I know businesses that are in Miami Lakes. Like, there's plenty of locations to be around. So what's different about the website that you're working on now? How is that easier for information? Essentially, websites, why do you go on there is to find information that I can't reach out to you directly for.
Well, you go to the website because the premise of our city website is you're going in there to do a thing. Right. And I think there historically has been some like illusion with government websites that like people are going to come on, they're going to discover all this content. They're going to spend a bunch of time like reading your like 50 paragraphs you have on the history of, the water and sewer process. People are coming and they want to get in and they want to get out. So the main thing that we did on this iteration of the site, which is something we've been planning for a long time, is to move services right top and center. So we've spent really the last few years doing a lot of process work to make sure we understand all of the steps in the analog process of things. And then we started the work of digitizing some of these, either in some cases simple, just presenting a web form. In other cases, we're doing a little bit more sophisticated stuff. But surfacing that, the new architecture, a lot of the content is still the same, but we have resurfaced and moved. Now, go to the page and you'll see like register a new business right at the top. You'll see watch a city meeting right at the top. This was content that existed but was buried throughout the site in a number of different ways.
It's harder to find,
It's an extension of the work that we were doing with our Miami Innovation Academy, which is a program that we launched 2 or 3 years ago to teach city employees how to do process mapping and waste identification. This is essential, and I'm getting to standards, I promise, because the idea was not have one chief innovation officer, but could we create 4,000 innovation officers through a training program? The whole idea was to put myself out of business. Innovation officer team of 1 sitting somewhere. It's not a scalable proposition if you want to, really advance innovation across the city. So by teaching employees how to catalog and, get all their step-by-steps, we were able to outline a process, pull from that the customer-facing steps in that process, and now you've got a step-by-step for your website. So step 1, collect your paperwork. Step 2, submit it on this page. Step 3, and now what you've got is a bunch of structured data. The next evolution of this, and I'll tease what some of my thoughts are about the importance of machine-readable processes, right? We've got machine-readable open data that has been around for a little bit, but there's often not a lot of context next to that. Mm-hmm. So if we had these things in machine-readable processes, then other municipalities could borrow from that, because we could very quickly do the brain dump of what's in my head from years of experience in government, or the person sitting at the front desk accepting applications. We are now telling them, it's not enough for that to be in your head, right? On this one person, we want to create massive transparency about the operations of the city. And imagine what's possible after that happens, right? You're open sourcing the map for how government works, which is often the biggest resistance for people interfacing. I don't know what's happening over there. I can't go over there. I can't get the right answer. So what we're doing with the website now is, again, we're showing you everything we kind of know right now about the customer-facing processes. We're moving those services front and center, so you don't have to dig for them on the site. The mayor has dubbed it's kind of the trilogy. We did ePlan for submitting permitting plans. We did eStart for starting a business, and then his charge last January is well, now I want every service online. So we went right from businesses right to everything. So we're dubbing it eCityHall, 24/7 digital services. And what launched this week actually is the first iteration of that. We're going to continue to refine.
So that's officially up now.
It's officially up now. You can go test it. You can give us feedback. It's still a work in progress. We're launching out in the open and getting feedback. Some of those services might shift. Someone might say you forgot a really important one. So if that's the case, there's a little feedback button on the right. You can reach out to me on Twitter as well. And
it's been a big couple weeks for Miami. So, I'm going to go there. So let's talk about Miami Coin. So that was last week, right? It was approved by the commission's office.